Okay, so got a clean palette, I've got a fresh canvas, it's all primed and ready to go. Got my burnt sienna rubbed on it. There's no high spots, feels really nice. Today is a very special one. So this painting is going to be of Tate and Cedar. They got a nice kind of pose going on. All the elements are in there, the dogs are looking cute, nice big ears are sticking up. And so I'm going to start off by doing a little bit of a charcoal sketch here. So during the charcoal sketch, I normally do it in 3 stages. The first one, I'm just eyeballing from the reference. Then I try to compare that to the reference and make adjustments. I will then compare that one more time just to make sure everything is perfect. Generally, I need the nose and eyes to be as close as possible to help with the likeness. From there, I can normally make everything feel correct and natural. So we got the general charcoal outline done here. I'm going to lay out some paint on the palette. So on the palette we have ultramarine blue, we have burnt umber, we have yellow ochre, we have burnt sienna, cad orange, and some naphthol red. We got some naphthol red, we got some white, lots of white, and I got some green, and that's mainly for the background. The pet should pop off nicely from that background, the green background. So this is kind of the medium that I'm going to use. This is Liquid Original. Tried lots of different mediums, and I find this one still works the best. It just makes the paint more fluid. I'm going to use some big brushes. This is a number 8 brush. And I'm going to do this first pass all in one sitting. At this point, I like to go from charcoal sketch, pretty accurate now, and I wanted to just be able to get some paint on everything. And I'm not going to stop until it is. Okay, let's start mixing up some paint here. I do generally mix my own black from ultramarine blue and burnt umber. I do find it just gives you a nice softer value. So this is always the fun part. You just start throwing some paint down on the canvas and see what happens, right? Let's get it off the palette! I almost always start my paintings with the shadows first. I'll start blocking in some of those deepest tones with the black that I've mixed from the ultramarine blue and burnt umber. In this case, I started roughing in some of those highlight details, really just helping the drawing to be mapped out a little bit on the earlier stages here. So at this point I'm going to start to fill in the background a little bit, and that does help the drawing. It just helps me push in on the elements of the dogs a little bit more here. Again, it's just very rough detail, just a block in of what's going to be there. So I think that's as far as I'm going to go for tonight. I've got a little bit of paint over the canvas. Every part of the canvas is covered at this point. That took about just over an hour to go from the sketch to where we're sitting now. You know, no detail really on anything. I've kind of roughed in where the eyes should be, roughed in the general tones of the fur, made a nice mess of my palette. At this stage I'm going to let it dry completely, so I'm not going to touch this for probably at least a week. Yes, we'll let this dry and I'll come back at it with a second pass. So starting the second pass of the painting, I will start to refine the drawing even further. Same as the first pass, I do try to start with the darkest values, and I will build up from there. In this case I kind of started with the background, and then here I am putting a little bit of darker paint on Cedar. At this point I am using slightly thicker paint and smaller brushes. This is when you start to get a little bit more sharply defined details. Still trying to stay true to the colors I used on the first pass, just a little bit more refined with thicker paint. Stage, I always try to make it feel very painterly because a lot of these paint strokes that I'm putting down here will not be covered up on the next pass. Okay, there's another pass done. So that I think I got a lot done on this pass. A lot of thick paint over that thin paint that I put down before. Before I had the big brushes with the thin paint, and now I did a little bit smaller brushes with thick paint. So you get a little bit sharper lines. I tried to get really small. I actually used some of my pointed rounds to try to get some of that eye detail on this pass too. At this point, I'll let it totally dry. I'll come back, I'll oil it out, and I'll do some glazing. And then after that, see what kind of highlights need to be fixed. But I think it's in a good place. It's looking good. Okay, so I've let this painting dry now for, no joke, about 6 days. It took a full 6 days for this white, thick white paint to dry here in the fur. First, I'm going to do my process of oiling out over the whole thing, and then in the same session, I'm going to glaze some shadows in. So for glazing, I just like to, some of these darker areas, some will add a little bit of like vignetting across the bottom, across the top. Probably darken this area down just a bit too. I want their little faces to pop off from the canvas. So I'm going to use a little bit of liquid original for this oiling out process and for the glazing process. So I'm just going to mix in some of this liquid original with a little bit of Gamsol. Not too thick. And then I'm just going to start working it into some of these shadows, just lightly. You'll see almost right off the, let's do it here. You'll see right off the, almost right off the bat, see how the fur is darkening down here? That's because a lot of those colors have sunken in the drying process. And this will help just bring them back to life. That's pretty much oiled out here at this point. So what I'm going to do now is add some transparent colors. The nice thing about glazing, all the colors are already set for me here, and I'm just looking to darken everything down uniformly. Then we're just going to start lightly rubbing it on. The glazing process is actually kind of fun for me as a professional commercial colorist. It mimics what I normally do to a digital image with vignettes and shading. You can really add some extra density and richness to a painting this way. I try to be tasteful and not overdo it. Okay, so that's kind of it for now. We'll let this dry. It shouldn't take too long, another day or two. So this is the third and final pass of the painting. Overall, everything is set already on this painting. I'm just adding some of that fine detail that maybe I missed on the first two passes. Okay, so before I go, I want to do a bit of a reveal for you. So here it is. This is Cedar and Tate lounging on the couch. And there's the final product. Right? So if you like this painting, if you actually want to gift someone a painting just like this, you can email me at expert.art@gmail. It's nice and easy. It's my last name, .art@gmail. If you like this content, make sure you click subscribe and also smash that like button. It helps a lot. Yeah, there's going to be more videos coming at you pretty soon in the next coming months. keep in mind, these are not meant to be instructional videos at all. This is just my process, and this is what I've done. I just want you to enjoy the videos and sit back and just watch the process, watch these paintings come to life. Obviously, if you get anything out of it, that's great too, but yeah, just keep enjoying the content. I've been enjoying making it, so talk to you soon.